Hi.
Hello.
I should probably introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jeanine. I'm from WCBG. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, no
Nice to
worries.
meet
Happy
you.
to be here.
Thanks for having
It's
us.
great.
Can you guys go around, tell me what you do in the band, and tell me what a fun fact about you?
Yeah, my name's Matt. I'm the singer in the band. And fun fact, I've recently started surfing and I'm terrible at it.
Hi, I'm Theo. I play lead guitar and sing harmonies. Fun fact about me, I was once Ewan McGregor's body double in a film.
Those are both great ones. Well, yours is alright. I'm Jack. I play drums, and I
I'm a magician in your spare time.
I'm a magician in my spare time.
Okay.
You get to choose whether you think that's true or not is up to you. But
All right. So I have another cute little icebreaker that was asked at our freshman orientation, and the question is, if you can be any item in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
the whisk, because it's always with the eggs.
Why'd you want to be with the egg?
Because the eggs are the best part about any breakfast.
This is the kitchen, like this is the realm of a kitchen.
Yeah, and you're telling me it wouldn't be a whisk. I'm sorry, it's really hot here, and I'm kind of losing my mind.
I'd probably be the grill. I always bring the heat.
Because you're always covered in gross mug.
Which they love in the fridge. I'm always
Dandol.
cool.
Always turned on, always being used. It's the only thing constantly in use. Fridge is a good answer. Actually, yeah.
Clever answers. I do have to say those are pretty clever. When I was asked this question, I told people I'd be a knife because I have a sharp wit.
I like
very
it.
nice.
I like it. That's good. That's good. It's better than my whisk answer.
And then I have another question that I think says a lot about a person. It'll get philosophical afterwards, but what is your favorite album in your personal collection? And by personal collection, I mean you physically own the album.
Ooh.
Mine is the Best of the Eagles, and it's sort of a best of, so it doesn't really count. But that's my favourite album that I have at the moment.
I'm trying to think about my physical
Yeah,
collection of
physically
albums.
owned.
What's my favourite at the minute?
Isn't it Akon?
Akon walked up.
Okay.
Oh, the best physically owned CD. This is super hard. I'm trying to think of them.
Yeah, I don't have many CDs anymore. Records, I'm so bad. I use Spotify for everything. But I'm trying to think what I own. I bought a Chris Stapleton CD like a year and a bit ago, and I backed that. It's the one with Tennessee Whiskey and
So good.
Parachutes. I can't remember what the record's called, but I love his voice. Like, and there's a lot of soul in that record. So that's the only one I can think I own.
Yeah, I mean, like the most played for me lately in the car, I have a CD of the best of John Denver.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah.
So we all have super weird answers.
It's all the best ofs, really.
Yeah, we all have the best of. Yeah. Sorry, we're not cool now.
Well, the reason I ask this is because I think someone's favorite record says a lot about them as a person because it's a tangible physical copy that you have. And I know for me, I only buy copies of albums if I thoroughly enjoy them and want to actually have it. So it's a nice little keepsake.
Yeah. Makes it really special.
And I know nowadays, with, as you mentioned, Spotify, it's kind of changed the game a little bit. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people nowadays are either buying records because they want to have something physical, or they're just kind of streaming music on Spotify, which leads me to my next question. What is your opinion on streaming services like Spotify?
They should pay more money to the writers.
Yeah.
Number one. But no, I love the fact that you can move your music. You can get your music anywhere. Anyone can listen to you. That's kind of an amazing thing about streaming services.
Yeah, I think it's super accessible for people, which is great because, even like with Spotify, you don't, obviously you can pay for a premium account, which is great because you skip the ads, but if you don't have money to get it, all you have to do is download the app and you can still listen to like your favorite records. So that's super cool because like, say you couldn't afford CDs and stuff before, like you have a device you can play stuff off, but
Yeah.
They're kind of weird. I think it's great because loads of bands can upload stuff and like you can get to a much wider audience. Like we're really lucky to get fans from all over the place because of playlists, things we get put on.
Yeah.
But saying that at the same time, like I think we miss like CDs and records.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for bands, like to put out an album. It's not done so
You
much.
say that, but you also previously said that you don't own any CDs. Just use Spotify.
It's become movable.
No, it's good. Like obviously, like we wouldn't have. We're just like a little band from like Devon in the countryside in England. I don't think without it we wouldn't be reaching like America and places like that without it. So it's quite good.
Which would be like our uncles.
Our uncles listening to us in like the local pub. That would have been it. So, yeah, that's it.
So I use Spotify every day, not gonna lie. I do have some slight issues with the platform. One of the things I strongly don't like is the fact that as a fan and a listener, I can see an artist's monthly listener count. I feel like, at least here, where I am in America, it's kind of influenced how people listen to music and how tours are created. And I think that it should be kept for like the business side of things. I just don't think I should be seeing it.
Yeah, that's a very
I
interesting
never thought about
point.
that. It's a good point, though.
I think that is a good point. It's sort of a bit, you only listen to something if they've got a lot of monthlies because you think that makes it good already. But yeah, I don't know why they share that with everyone. It's useful for the artist to know because it's good to know what you're hitting up. But yeah, I think you're probably right. It's a great point.
It's good to know how you're like progressing.
Yeah, it's good to see from our side. But yeah, I don't see what the benefit is to a fan.
No.
I don't think a fan would ever want to see their favourite band like plays drop.
Yeah.
I also think like some artists that might not have as many monthly listeners are sometimes better than artists that have hundreds of thousands, just they haven't been quote unquote discovered yet. So I think it's pretty interesting. Like a lot of my friends will probably listen to people who are in the top whatever worldwide, and I'm like, there are so many other artists that are just as good, if not better. So why not give them a chance?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
So we're gonna segue a bit. I'm actually quite curious. How did you guys pick your respective instruments? Like, what was the story behind how you picked the one you did?
Well, Theo and I, we both play guitar and sing. Like when we were growing up, like our granddad was a famous guitarist in like the 50s in the UK, like with Burt Weedon, and he was like the first guy to play like electric guitar here, and he wrote a book about it, and lots of famous guitarists learned from it. So we were just always growing up around guitars. He taught us a lot of stuff, and he sort of gave us a taste for it. So it was like the natural thing for us to do, just pick up a guitar, which then led to us learning to write songs and stuff. Why did you play saxophone, man?
I found a drum kit in an alleyway when I was 4. No, my uncle bought me like a drum kit when I was like 4 years old, like a little like toy one, and I just used to play every day. So like again, never seemed weird for me not to play drums. Yeah.
So I like to think that the instrument picks the person, and the person doesn't necessarily pick the instrument. Where I am in the States, what we do is you're like in 3rd grade, and they make you take this aptitude test to see if you're competent enough to understand music. So like they're clapping rhythms and like having you identify pitches. It's like really intense when you're in elementary school.
Amazing.
And if you are good enough, they place you in the band program here, and then they fit you for an instrument, not necessarily you pick it. So it's always fun to see how people pick the ones they do.
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like a lot of people like don't get the hang of music. Some people don't get the hang of it until they're like get older. Yeah, cool though. Interesting way of doing that.
You in band?
Yeah.
What did you play?
Trumpet.
That's a good one.
That looks really hard to play.
I guess. I don't know. Just learned it from so young that it kind of just clicked. But
At least you were like given a cool one. Like you weren't like palmed off with like the oboe. This one she's like, no, I actually play that too.
That's my favourite.
It's my favourite woodwind.
imagine. No, I really only read treble clef. I did take a class where we had to learn every instrument, which was something else. But my bass clef is not as good.
I'm still learning drums.
Oh, drums were not fun for me. They had us try everything. It was something. But yeah, music here is very interesting to me. A lot of the places here, well, at least where I'm from Staten Island, New York, which is where my school is located. There's no local music scene here, like at all, unless you're into like jazz band and concert band, and maybe some cover bands. Like there are a few local bands, but they're not really doing much here. They all go to like Brooklyn or Manhattan. So it's always kind of interesting because we do have all these programs to get people interested in music and to start from such a young age. Yet nothing really develops here.
Right.
And one of the reasons I bring this up is my school is where the movie School of Rock was filmed. So
My favourite film of all time, I think.
I do. I watched that loads ago.
I think that was the thing that got me wanted to make me into like a little rock band musician. Was watching that.
Everyone bought that.
That Gibson SG.
I had a Gibson SG because of it. Yeah. Loved it.
and I know the movie's influenced so many people, and to see that like here we don't have it, it's pretty upsetting. So I'm quite curious, what is the music scene like when we don't have COVID? What is it like where you are?
It's actually pretty good. Like, I mean, we live in the countryside, and it's a sort of small city. Like, we live near a place called Exeter. So a lot of bands from the touring do come here, but there's probably only like 3 or 4 venues that can play that are worth playing.
It's decent stuff. A lot of gigs happen, but like
Yeah,
usually we like go up to like London.
Yeah, or north is quite good for gigs. Like, we tour a lot in the north of the UK, and that's really fun.
Great music at that.
Well, a good thing we have here in the UK on the BBC is they have something called BBC Introducing in every county, so like counties like the states. You know. So for Devon and Cornwall, the ones that we're in, the BBC Introducing radio stations, they pick local artists to play exclusively, and we'll do shows with them if we introduce them.
I have staged at like Glastonbury.
Yeah, so it's kind of encouraged like county to county to, if you are a local musician or in a band or whatever, you can get on the radio and make some interesting shows.
I love that. I wish we had that here. Like our radio stations, if we're talking like what you're listening to in the car, it's a lot of like pop radio. And we just got an alternative station in New York, which is pretty exciting because we haven't had one since like the early 2000s. So it's only really things that are mainstream here.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, to be fair, the radio is pretty similar. Like it's mostly just charty stuff.
Yeah, even on like Radio 1, they do. Is it one night of the week
Sunday
at
nights.
11?
Sunday night.
It's indie night, like alternative.
And nobody's listening to it whatsoever.
No.
That's why I like what I do. I love showcasing artists that I get a chance to just talk to, because like you said earlier, you guys are in a different country, so it's awesome to even just have this type of connection. Like we're showcasing you guys here.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you for thinking of us.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So slight backstory, I never normally tell artists how we discovered them because normally I don't remember. But I do remember your story because my PR director, Grace, found you guys, I think. She mentioned your name and she was like, I like their music a lot, you should check it out. And I did. And I thought it was something different than what I normally hear over here. So I was like, yes, they need spotlight.
We like to be unique. It's sort of the philosophy we have. Like a lot of bands like start trying to copy another band. We just kind of like do what we want. If people like it, they'll like it. If they don't, well,
I think that's when you make like your best music. It's really easy to try and make stuff sound like a hit record. Like you want to sound like, I don't know what's on the radio, but when you do that, you don't really. There's nothing special about it.
you get lost in it.
Yeah, so you just stick to what makes you feel good and happy, like make records.
So I'm actually quite curious. How would you guys describe your sound in 3 words? Since there are 3 of you, we'll do 3 words.
Choose your word each. Circus.
Oh, I was so close to saying that.
What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was going to say saucy.
Saucy circus.
Trio.
No, like the harmonies. Yeah. That's one key factor.
Folk. No, probably not folk anymore.
No.
Harmonies.
Harmonies, raw, how do you say it? Okay, it's kind of acoustic but not acoustic. We like kind of natural sounds, but then Jack, like the drummer, like obviously produces a lot of our stuff, so we sort of really mess with things and whatever, like record some claps in the room or a guitar, and then he'll really change it, sound slightly more electronic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like harmony. I guess folk is a word that we would use because it's the harmony.
Indie harmony, folk.
Folky indie harmony.
Okay, that could be any more of a contrived answer.
I love this question because I love seeing how bands describe themselves, since I might not necessarily pick the same 3 words that you guys pick.
Yeah. What would you
pick for us?
Let's see. Dreamy, kind of. Like, it has, like, this, like, ethereal sound.
Yeah.
Personal. I feel like a lot of the lyrics are very open and personal.
You're much better at this.
I do this a lot.
Related.
And then, I guess kind of like nostalgic. Because
Yeah.
everyone can relate to it.
Yeah, thank you. That's way better. I'm writing those down and using that.
Indie folky.
Like surface people.
Saucy surface strip.
But yeah, I think like that's the key for us. Like, it's being super personal. Like, you know, everything we write is stuff that we go through. It's not just writing a song and writing about something we haven't experienced ourselves. It's like, I think that's always a bit weird. Like, I mean, I think you can take stories and write about a story, but for us, like, the more personal it is, the better the song.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like nostalgic, like I think we all 3 of us grew up listening to a lot of bands. I'm like singer-songwriters, but we love bands. Like, that's why we're in a band. So, you know, like there's a lot of elements that we take from other bands that sort of gives it that feeling like you've almost heard it before. Which is cool.
Well, listening to like the Killers and people like that. Or
Yeah.
It's just sort of like just can't not like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really appreciated how open each song was, in a sense. Like, when I'm listening to music, I have to connect with it in some way or form, like to keep listening to more from an artist, and I definitely got that from your music, just because it explained things that I probably could never put into words in a way that actually formed the words that I was trying to say. So it was nice for that.
That's so cool.
Oh, thanks.
So on that note, you mentioned artists that kind of inspired you. Do you mind telling me what musicians inspire you to be a better musician?
I think, like, for me, musician-wise, like being a singer, I think is always like an interesting thing. Like, there's a couple of singers I love who I don't necessarily think are like, you know, I wouldn't say it to their faces, but I think they're the best singers in the world. For example, like the Kings Leon frontman, like I think he's amazing. Like, obviously he's not the best singer ever, but like the way he, like, every word he sings, you know he means it, and that's really inspiring. Because when you're on stage, like if you mean it when you sing it, like the crowd feel it. Instead of just being a good singer singing a song, like if you mean what you're singing, it's like that. So yeah, that's definitely pushed me.
Yeah. In terms of like guitar and guitarists and things, I could pick like, yeah, my favorite. I think it's my favorite guitarist. So the guitarist in a band called the Kooks, who's unreal, the lead guitarist. But it's not even just that he plays well; it's that the riffs and the guitar parts that he writes are like kind of like interesting melodies themselves, so they become like a real part of the song as opposed to just being sort of background noise. And then also, yeah, like the guitarist in Kings of Leon, I love what he does. Again, just really interesting parts. Stuff that like you wouldn't think to write yourself, or like you wouldn't think to put in a song like that. That always intrigues me.
I think there's probably a couple. I think probably the main one is Don Henley.
Yeah.
Just because he's just incredible. Like we hadn't really listened to the Eagles much until like a few years ago, and like just watching some of the stuff that he wrote and like how he just sing it. Oh, just incredible. That, and then the only other one purely for drumming, and I don't know if you guys have them over there really. A band called the Ting Tings.
Yeah.
Do you ever heard of the band called the Ting
I think
Tings?
I know one song.
Yeah, so like they used to have this drummer who's like really like a bit of a weird dude, wore sunglasses, always played the same drum beat. But then like I've ended up sort of copying that drum beat and using it in most of our songs. It's just like it's
simple is best.
really simple, cool drum
So
beat,
effective.
and nobody plays it. It's just like it fits under loads of stuff. I've like tweaked it, obviously. Don't come at me, ting tings. Yeah, that's probably him. I don't even know what his name is.
Ting.
Paul Ting.
Full ting. Ting and ting.
I love those answers. I think that this question specifically is something that tells a lot about like direction in a sense, because these are people that you might look up to try to grow and perfect your own sound and make it more of your own. So I think that is something important nowadays that artists should be focusing on, like who they want to be in the future, kind of.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I'm going to circle back to earlier. Someone mentioned when writing like super personal songs and everything. I'm quite curious as to what your favorite part of a song that you've written is. It can be anything.
Wow. That's super hard. Probably, I mean, right now, I think if I thought about it, I'd change a lot. But I mean, the last song we just dropped, a song called Don't Be Afraid, and probably just the first verse. It just means a lot. I went through a tough time recently, and yeah, just like these lyrics, this melody and like this chord progression, these lyrics just fell out. And I sent it over to Theo, and he tweaked the lyrics a bit, sent it back. And yeah, I think that just because it means so much to me, it's probably like my favourite thing right now that we've done. But then saying that, the new stuff that we're doing is exciting me even more. But stuff that's out, don't be afraid. That first verse for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I really like lyrically. I really love the chorus in our song 17. That was quite like, it was a nice personal, and I was quite proud about how that one turned out. And then also one of the verses, like I had this bit of artwork on my wall for ages, with a sort of phrase on it, and I kind of worked that phrase into the lyrics, and that made me happy. Kind of a piece of like a memory that the sample stays there. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and I've the new stuff we've got coming out. I'm really excited to get out. I think it's all gelled together and like sort of got to like a peak of like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Pumping out these tracks. Yeah, I'm excited about a lot of the new ones that you'll be hearing shortly, hopefully.
Okay, I know you guys are releasing, please correct me if I'm wrong, a new song every month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So I'm wondering, how do you pick which song gets released in which month?
That's a very good question.
We sort of shout at each other.
Shout at each other. We throw loads of songs, write the names down on paper, and we just sprawl about on the floor.
One will come to the top.
One
after a
comes
while.
to the top. No, I think we kind of don't really focus so much on saying like particularly what song comes out that month. Like obviously, you know, in the summer, like we're releasing the next song we release next month is called Love You Again, and it's a really beautiful song. It's more of a ballad, slightly stripped back. Which, you know, for the summer maybe it's more of a winter song almost, but to us it's just a really special song that means a lot to us right now, so we want to put it out. Like we're always recording and writing, so we always have the option to like maybe 2 or 3 songs a month that we can choose from. And I think we also just show our friends and family, and people go, oh, that's really special, so we go, okay, let's roll with that.
Yeah, totally right.
It kind of reminds me of how like track listing is super important, and I kind of think like when I was going through, I tried to listen to them in month order. I think there's kind of like a story attached to the way they've been released. I'm not quite sure what the story is, but it kind of seems like there's a little journey happening.
There is, and it's actually getting more and more so now.
Yeah,
I think we've all like been through some stuff like the end of last year, so it really like has shaped us a bit more.
You can see how our like emotional state has changed throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the next few songs coming out, again, just keep getting. We always use the word personal, but they are super personal, and there is a story and a thread to it all. So it's kind of like this, you know, it's a body of work that means something because it was that will be what this year is to us. This body of work is like how we lived it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think you'd ever compile them into an album, or would you keep them as separate singles?
Maybe at the end of the year, but
Maybe we'd put it into a record and drop some more tracks with it. But it's like the most. We're having such a good time. Like even though it's stressful to try and finish a song a month, that we're happy with going out. It's kind of feels really free to be able to just write songs, not worry about if it has to sound the same as the previous single or what. It's just like, okay, we love this, let's put it out. So it's kind of like a really exciting part of the band for us because we haven't ever done it before. We've always just worked the single for 3 months, gone to radio, tried to get it onto this and that. Whereas this time we're just like, this is what we're all about. Songwriting is what we do as the band, so it's what we want to show everyone. We can just keep writing great songs and need stuff.
Yeah.
Someone once told me that once a song is written and it's released into the world, it doesn't belong to them anymore. It belongs to the listener. And I kind of think that's kind of how this is working in a sense. Like, you guys are releasing it for you, not for anyone else, but at the same time, it's connecting with so many other people, and it might not be currently, but it could be like a couple of years from now or even a couple of months. So I think that's more what I got from your releases.
Yeah. Well, that's always an amazing thing about, you can put a song out there and it can mean whatever it means to you, but then to kind of hear, we're very kind of open with our fans, and like we read and reply to every message and comment. It's lovely to hear from people. They'll send us their totally honest reactions to the song, and like it's amazing to hear like how much a song you put out will end up meaning to that person, and for whatever reason, whether you intended it that way or not, it's kind of nice.
And I think that's the beauty of music, because like it just means something different to everybody, and everyone interprets it differently. Even if it's very obvious to us, like say it's a love song, it doesn't mean it's a love song to someone else. It becomes whatever. A love song or a song about moving house because they heard it at a point. And I love that. That's what's great about music. Everyone has their own feeling with the track.
Specifically, what I enjoyed was how honest everything like you guys put out has been. It's very refreshing to me as a listener. As I say, like I do this a lot, so it's great to hear something that's very open and very reassuring, kind of, because it's not just hearing the kind of vulnerability made it something special.
No, that's good. I think that's our policy, is kind of like to be honest and open. And to be perfectly honest, like it's either do that and write about, our feelings and experiences, or, like where we live, you're going to write about cows and sheep and fields,
that's all we've got.
It's what we have to write about. But yeah.
So I'm just quite curious, what the country is like the actual like
It's
a geography lesson now.
So we're surrounded by fields and wild animals.
Oh yeah, the countryside.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Got like just a little studio here, essentially. Just lock ourselves away in it days on end.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I had to ask. I'm still very poor with my geography in other countries. Where I'm from, there's just a lot of like trees and parks and stuff. Obviously, I can take like a train to get to Manhattan, and then it's like cities with big buildings and all that fun stuff. Like where I live is part of New York City, but like it's trees.
Yeah.
So when you said there were like sheep and cows, I was like, wait.
No, we're just in right in the middle of the countryside, like. Yeah, it's nice.
Proper out of the sticks.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like isolated from the rest of like where you are? I don't want to say the wrong place.
Yeah. I'd say we're a 20-minute drive from the nearest town. Yeah, it is just fields and fields, which is nice. Like, it's kind of, I think it's a great environment to focus on things in. There's no distraction, that's for sure.
Saying it's more fun for us, like then when we get to tour, and we go, abroad, to Germany, or even when we're touring the UK and we go and stay in cities and we see places, it's so nice to then come home to the countryside. And I think it makes touring more special because we spend a night or two in a pretty vibrant city. We have a great night out. It makes everything count a bit more. I think we're lucky.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna ask, how do you think it's impacted your writing style in any way, if at all?
Yeah, definitely. Like
The earlier one.
the earlier records for sure. For example, our song "Wilder Days" was written about growing up here. It's kind of a love letter to the countryside we grew up around. I mean, even our band name tours, were named after there's these rock formations in a national park called tours. These kind of big cliffs you can climb things, and yeah, that's where we got the name for that.
It's nice to see like where you guys are from in a sense, because like different, I feel like different experiences of where people are definitely affect what they do or how they go about it. um as I mentioned earlier here, like we don't really have a scene and stuff, so it's kind of like maybe it's because we don't really, I don't know, like maybe here we're not really going out and hanging out with people. We're like going day to day, super busy all the time. So like I know like during this whole isolation period, I really haven't seen anyone, and it's probably been one of the best things to ever happen because I actually had time to like not do anything in a sense instead of always being busy.
That's so true.
It's important to stop, just take it all in, and then
Have a break.
Yeah.
So how have you guys been spending this? Are you guys still in quarantine? Is it still happening?
No.
Okay.
There's restrictions on things, but yeah, quarantine is sort of we're on the next step of things. You can go out, you can meet friends out, you can meet certain group numbers and things, and you can even stay, in other parts of the country. You can stay the night. Yeah, it changed up a bit.
We just had to try and get songs recorded when we couldn't see each other.
Yeah, that was the tricky thing. Like a lot of the singles that we've released, and even the next single, like a lot of the vocals were recorded on phones because we couldn't physically be in the same room. So yeah, a lot of stuff was done, yeah, via phones or on laptops and whatnot. That was slightly tricky.
That was really stressful. Yeah.
Thank God for the
They
digital
sound great.
age. I'll go first. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Theo's phone's from 2005 though.
So I have a question that actually kind of relates to this. It's going to be a super long-winded thing, so I apologize for that a little bit ahead of time. Question is, what is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
I think if they were working towards finishing it and it was almost there, then release it. But if they haven't released it for a reason, I mean, there's a lot of tracks that we haven't released that I wouldn't want people listening to. But
It's a really tricky one.
there's some like weird demos that like.
Because like if you've yeah, it's super interesting. There are things that you won't intend to put out to the world for sure. And I think loads of artists will have, like you said, there'll be songs you're not so proud of, or you weren't happy enough with, or whatever the situation is. But then equally, what's the harm in doing people good when you are gone? Like if that's going to spread some joy or whatever, inspire certain people, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure fans would love it.
I know for it's like it's like Prince, isn't it? He's got that vault of unreleased music, albums and albums and albums of work that who knows if anyone will get to hear or not. But yeah, I don't know. That's really tricky. Just trying to think about it. What artists release that's the big. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about it?
Okay, so my own 2 cents. Think this should be negotiated into a contract for things, or an artist should create an artist will. I know it's like super depressing, but we've noticed this has been happening. So no, I think it should be up to the artist. I don't think a corporation or even like family. I get like some stuff has consent from family to be released and everything, but at the end of the day, no one would really know except the artist of what they wanted. So it should be up to them.
Yeah, that's true. Although having said that, with one of our favourite artists growing up, I know mine and Matt's, a guy called Nick Drake. So amazing English kind of, I guess, kind of folk singer, like unbelievably vulnerable songs, amazing guitar playing, and like interesting lyrics and things. But because he ended up committing suicide. But anyway, because all of his music was then released afterwards, he wasn't doing particularly well, and then his music got released, and then it suddenly gained all this massive cult popularity, and now he's like a kind of big name. And that all happened after he died. A lot of like artists, like anyone like Francis Bacon or any of these kind of painters, loads of people. Yeah, so I don't know. Having his music being released after he died actually probably helped his family a lot, but then also inspired a bunch of people. But I don't know. Yeah, there's an interesting one.
And the reason I brought it up is you mentioned recording on cell phones, and I know from my own experiences, a lot of people don't like to release what was recorded as a voice memo. I've had very extreme answers to this question. My personal favorite is someone compared this to Kurt Cobain's journal and how that was released and probably shouldn't have been. So that's why I think it should be left up to someone else. Well, left up to the people who are the ones writing and releasing the music, because at the end of the day, like, would the artists have been happy with the final product of what was released?
Yeah, that's true.
No, that's a super deep question.
Question. Never released everything.
I know it's complicated, and there are so many moving parts to the question, so many different things that could potentially happen. And I know it's super depressing to be talking about this at like early stages, but still, it's something that I think should be discussed at some point. Just
yeah, for sure.
Never thought about it.
No,
really interesting.
I think a lot of people don't even think about it. Like, I honestly didn't really think about it until Grace, who I mentioned earlier, was like, did you hear these little peep songs that were released? They kind of don't sound great. They sound like unfinished bedroom demos. And then I was like, oh, yeah, you're kind of right. But I don't know. It's very, very, very deep. We're going to move on to another question, because that is just depressing to talk about. On a completely unrelated note, what music are you currently listening to? I asked this question because I like to expand my own horizons of what I should be listening to or checking out. Go for it.
There's a cool band called Flight. Really interesting sound, kind of retro, decent harmonies. Very kind of. How would you kind of describe their lyrics?
What Beatles do?
Yeah, well, they're kind of literary lyrics.
Very British.
Yeah, they're a very British band, to be fair, but they're cool. Sons of the East,
Literally what I've just got onto.
Australian, great again, lovely harmonies and kind of folky-esque, really.
They're great.
They're really great acoustic, interesting band.
I've been listening to a lot of Bombay Bicycle Club. They had a new album out recently. They're really, really good. Sort of like rocky indie pop, like a weird little twist of like there's just a writer in the centre of it who's just a madman, essentially. But yeah, check them out.
But yeah, I don't know. I've been listening to maybe like Alec Benjamin. I like him. I think he writes really good little pop songs, and I enjoy like his song structure. So
Fun lyrics.
I enjoyed his record that came out recently.
In terms of like single songs as well, we love that. There's that song by Doors, a friend put us onto, A Little Bit of Everything.
Yeah, so.
That's an amazing song lyrically.
So good lyrically, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I personally get a lot of enjoyment out of this question because sometimes I get stuck in ruts when I listen to music, and then I just go back to things that I thoroughly enjoyed maybe 10 years ago. So it's nice to have something new to check out that is probably definitely different than what I would pick out for myself, which is always nice because gotta try new things.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of wondering, have you guys ever been to America?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, what was your favorite place that you've been when you were here?
Ooh.
Wow.
We probably had a similar answer. Yeah, every day. Me and Matt went a few years ago on like a writing exchange to Nashville, and that was so much fun. And again, it was one of those places you kind of like. We were very lucky when we were there. We had a lot of interesting people showing us around. An amazing producer called Don was showed us like around the Ryman and backstage. But also these sort of great ghost stories and bits and bobs. And the nightlife is mad. It's one of those places that like you step into any bar and the musicians playing there, they make you want to up your game or quit, you know, because they're so good. Yeah, Nashville was.
I think Nashville's a special place. A great bar, and stuff. Like, yeah, I'd probably say Nashville's the best place. But I like San Francisco. The food there is amazing.
Yeah, very true.
New York's great. Love New York. Like super busy. But yeah, I don't know, Jack.
I've actually never been.
Oh, have you never been
I've
to
never
America?
been to America at all. I think hopefully we can go soon. Well,
Yeah, we want to try and go to LA when it calms down a bit.
sure that'll go. I'd love to go see like is it Colorado? Where are all those big redwood trees? That's where I want to go.
Yosemite's very
I want to go see some redwood
Like
trees. That's on my
Yellowstone.
bucket list of things I want to do. Like on a hike.
Yeah.
You can take or leave all your music clubs. Get me on a mountain with a big tree.
Get me a big tree.
Get me a big. Oh, no.
If you could change one thing about the music industry as it is today, what would it be and why? And you can say coronavirus. But
I wish people came to gigs more in the UK. Because I know that when we've toured before, you go to like Germany and the Netherlands and places like that. Like people will come and watch you if they don't know who you are, just because they want to come and watch a gig. Which I think how it used to be like quite a lot. But I don't know what about you, but in the UK, like people still do, but it's nothing like it used to be. People don't really
give the support a chance.
No, they don't know. If they know they're a headliner, they'll go and watch. But if not, they just won't go and watch the support acts. It's a bit rubbish when you're starting out.
Yeah. I probably. It's like a kind of double-edged sword. I'd probably change some of the impetus on social media and that kind of element of being in the music industry, like what an artist is expected to post about or to kind of always have this front end of ongoing narrative. It kind of draws focus sometimes maybe from the music, but then equally you can spread your audience and reach people you never would have. But I think I'd maybe put a little less focus on that side of things. That would be interesting. Also, like, I miss albums. For albums, if that makes sense. Like, I know we're releasing single songs right now, but like getting an album and then listening to the whole thing as opposed to just sort of hearing single after single, I suppose. That's always an interesting journey.
And me, sorry. Everyone looked at me then. I was just like, what? If I could change anything, I think like people, maybe like record labels, should take a lot more risks because they've got so much money. They still make a lot of money from like their catalogs, like big hits and stuff. You know, there's this amazing Frank Zappa interview. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube. You should watch it when he talks about the music execs in like the 60s, and he was like, the music was so much better then, not because it's not good now, but because back then business was run by businessmen who had no idea about music, so they would just be like, okay, if it's good, we'll give you a load of money, see if it works. They take a risk on a record, whereas now, like a lot of A&Rs, you know, don't want to disrespect, but like a lot of them are sort of young guys who, you know, in their heads they know what's cool, but just because they think it, like they don't give anything a shot. And I think like a lot of good stuff goes, which goes undiscovered because they won't take risks. They just stick with something safe that often doesn't work really. The amount of stuff that gets signed every year and then dropped is like crazy.
Yeah.
I go out of my way to go to a show if I like the artist. I will drive to a different state if I have to. And I know a lot of people don't do that. And I know a lot of people don't even go to shows anymore. So I think that's also like a streaming service side issue. Just because like sometimes people only know that one super popular song because it was on every single playlist in existence, and they don't listen to an artist's repertoire. And it's kind of upsetting because, like, okay, great, that one song's amazing, but they also have, like, a bunch of other good songs that you should be listening to. To your point about record labels, I 100% agree. I think that part of the problem is because the industry is super saturated nowadays with music. There's so much to go through, and it's so hard to just even, like, go through. Not many people are, like, going through all of these different artists, unfortunately. Or you mentioned albums in full. I 100% agree. I feel like people don't listen to an album in full anymore. It's very upsetting. I also think that so many singles are released from an album.
I don't know. You're right. You end up not. There's no surprises on an album when every single is already released. Yeah.
What are your goals for 2020? You can do the year or the decade because I know the year's kind of been canceled.
World takeover.
Worldwide domination.
Yeah.
Every single person knows tours.
Best band in the world. That's alright. People will know the name of
good or bad.
yeah.
I think we just want to keep releasing music, like keep doing this for a living. We want to tour a lot more. Like Jack said, we're hoping to come out to America next year now. Play some shows, do some stuff there, see some stuff. Yeah, you know, keep writing music that means something to people. Keep connecting with our fans.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to grow like a load of pumpkins.
Yeah. Oh, there was that pumpkin farm idea we had.
Theo and Jack want to start a pumpkin farm.
I just think it would be cool.
I think it would just be profitable because let's be honest,
once a year.
but we only grow it in we only sell them in March.
Yeah.
Because there's a gap in the market. Nobody sells them outside October. We could win that.
Yeah.
Huh? Nah, man. I've already invested all my money in it.
Second question, like a real pumpkin farm, like.
Oh, we're not gonna do that. No, we don't think we will.
I mean, they might.
It's just a pipe dream. If music
It's a
fails,
fever dream.
a fever dream.
Is it?
But I honestly didn't know that, like, air conditioning wasn't, like.
No.
Literally nobody has it on their house, really. I've never been in a house.
There's a lot of things that are different here.
Honestly, I think in the next 50 years that will change.
You were saying that, yeah.
As it's getting hotter, people are going to start getting angry.
I'm sure that's true.
And shrew. That's why he's got shrew legs. He's adapted to the heat. Evolution over here is another level. Like everyone from the UK looks very different. The lack of AC has changed us.
We all have the bottom half of small woodland creatures.
See, like, the biggest difference I ever hear is, like, everyone's like, do you know what a kettle is? No.
Yeah. You make tea wrong.
Seen that video of the woman making it?
Oh, it's horrible.
Put the hot water in the microwave and then you steep the tea bag.
God.
It's everywhere. It's terrible.
Tea bag, boiling water, let it sit.
Okay, we do have teapots. I've used a teapot.
You know, I used to do with my little shrew legs. The handle.
We also don't put ice in our drinks like you guys.
Oh, that's my tea.
Huh.
Like a room temperature beer.
Room temperature beer.
Put ice in beer.
No, I'm talking about like how English you get an ale. That's a room
Like a
temperature drink.
warm, flat pint is like a nice pint over here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like ale. Yeah.
Or even pints doesn't.
See, I thought, like, the countries were kind of similar. But, like, I guess there are these, like, little differences. And on that note, thank you guys so much for speaking with me. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
It was really, really fun.
Thank you for doing this. Such a pleasure. Lovely meeting you kind of virtually. So,
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be over there soon and we can say hello to you properly.
yeah, that'd be great. Thank you again. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Alright, you too.
Stay true to yourself.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye.